Today's video, we are going to be grading every single major draft pick in the 2025 NHL draft. Everyone has done this video, but I'm going to give my opinion as kind of a casual, so hopefully I relate to a couple of you guys. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and let's get into the number one pick. Matthew Schaefer went to the New York Islanders. This is 100% an A+. I mean, you get an elite high player with the first overall pick. This kid is nasty. He's going to be one of the best defensemen in the NHL. I mean, come on, that's an A+. Every draft has a consolation prize, and this guy is right there. Michael Misa is your second overall pick, and this is also an A+ for the San Jose Sharks. Absolute pure skill. Can do it all in every single zone. I think this guy going to be another one of these top players in the league, so perfect pick at second. With the third overall pick, the Chicago Blackhawks took Anton Frondell. I'm going to give this one a B+. It's pretty good, but I don't know. Personally, I feel like there's a couple guys with a bit of a higher ceiling if they hit, but Anton Frondell has a very high ceiling, a very high floor, absolute stud. I really like this pick. I'm going to give it an A- actually. At number 4, the Utah Hockey Club selected Caleb Denoyer. Now, I'd say his ceiling is probably like an 87, 88 overall, which maybe isn't as high as some of the players drafted after him. However, his floor is incredible. He's going to be a great NHLer. He's going to be 100%, like almost 100% guarantee a second line center at least. He could very well be a first liner. He's going to play very well behind Cooley and Schmaltz and then overtake Schmaltz eventually. So I love this pick. I'm going to go a B though. Let me just fix Brady Martin's rating real quick and stuff while we do this. Brady Martin, I mean the 5th overall pick. I don't know, man. You take like a third, second liner at 50 overall. It's very interesting that they did that, especially a team like Nashville who doesn't have too many elite prospects coming through the pipeline. So I'm going to give this one a C+. You know, if you're drafting in the top 5, you probably want a guy who has a bit of a higher ceiling, but Brady Martin has a very high floor, and Nashville could be a very good team. Obviously, they're a bit of an older team, so drafting a guy with a lot of energy like this makes a lot of sense, really. Next up, the Philadelphia Flyers took Porter Martone at 6, the big 6'3", Brampton Steelheads captain. I think this is a perfect pick. I'm going to go an A, Porter Martone, or an A for sure. Porter Martone, right, if we look at their roster, right, they got Trevor Zegras as well, so that's a pretty big trade, right? And then now you have Zegras, so you can on the wings, now you have Michkov. Wait, let's check this out real quick. I know this is part of the video, but now you have Michkov, you have Konechny, you have Tippett, and you have Martone. That is absolutely perfect. At number 7, the Boston Bruins took James Hagens out of Boston College. Kid's an absolute stud. And, you know, to get the projected first overall pick at pick 7 is an absolute great pick. This is an A+ in my opinion. This is James Hagens, if he hits, has I'm going to say it, the highest offensive ceiling. That's not what I meant to click. The highest offensive ceiling of any player that David Pastrnak has ever played with if he hits. So, you know, I mean, that would be insane. You have Pasta. Let's take a look at him, right? Insane shot. Obviously, great passer as well. Great just offensive talent. James Hagens brings a lot of two-way play. Pasta's a pretty good skater, but James Hagens could be better. You know, the physicality is something you wonder with those two, but you can figure it out. Boston has so many physical players. A+ pick. Next up, Jake O'Brien here, picked at number 8 by the Seattle Kraken. Any other team, I would have given this A-, but Jake O'Brien to the Seattle Kraken, it's a B. If we take a look at the Kraken here, the depth chart, I don't know, it's not great. You have 4 centers now in the last, 5 drafts, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do. They could obviously move Berkeley Catton out to wing. I think that's a thing they talked about. Maybe they don't trust Shane Wright to fully develop. Maybe that's something. But Jake O'Brien, great player, just weird fit. At number 9, the first Seattle Thunderbird to go off the board here in the first round. Radim Mrka, a 6'6" right shot defenseman going to Buffalo. If you take a look at Buffalo's depth chart, they absolutely needed this. This is an A. I don't think it's an A plus like some of the other ones, but this is an A for sure. Radim Mrka, you know, he didn't really want to play there, looks like, so maybe that's just cap right there. But, I mean, if they can somehow get off the Samuelsson contract, you have Dahlin, you have Power, you obviously have Michael Kesselring. This roster hasn't updated, obviously, but, I mean, they are building something okay on the blue line in Buffalo. That 10, the Anaheim Ducks took Roger McQueen. I'm going to go with a B plus or a B. I think Roger McQueen, if he was healthy, could have been one of the top picks in this draft. Obviously, I'm rooting for him, the Brandon boy, but the Anaheim Ducks obviously have so many big players. McQueen can play center. I believe he can play wing, but you have McTavish, you have Carlson, you have Ryan Strome down the middle, and you have all these big boys, but Roger McQueen is really a big boy. He has an incredible shot. I think this is a perfect pick for the Anaheim Ducks and Pat Verbeek. At 11, the Pittsburgh Penguins took Benjamin Kindle. I'm going to go C+. This one's okay. Benjamin Kindle, for me, wasn't ranked as highly as some other scouts, but he does have a lot of potential. So if he hits, he definitely could be, you know, a top 6 forward, like it says right there. But there is a pretty medium chance that that will happen. So it's an okay but not great pick. Next up at number 12, the Philadelphia Flyers traded up and took Jack Nesbitt, a 6'4" centerman. Obviously, they need centers. However, this was a very weird pick. Jack Nesbitt showed some great flashes of potential, but he's a very raw prospect, a very risky prospect. And with how dense Philly's center core is, I don't know if I can trust that. Like, if we take a look at their center core, they have Couturier, Ryan Poehling's gone, so they have Trevor Zegras, Couturier, and Jet Luchenko, Denver Barkey. I don't know if I would have took Jack Nesbitt. I'm going to give that pick a, maybe not a D, but a C minus. Number 13, the Detroit Red Wings took the Winnipeg boy, Carter Bear. Of course, it's an A plus because he's from Winnipeg. No, but actually, though, I'm going to go with a B. This is a great pick. I think he brings something that Detroit, you know, kind of could use. Will he be a top 6 forward? Will he be a middle 6 forward? I know that's pretty much the same thing, but, like, I don't think his upside is, you know, first line. You know, he's a second or third liner, I think he projects as, but he can play center. He can play on the wing. I think this is perfect. He's like a kind of weird version of Dylan Larkin in a way. So they have Larkin, they have Casper, you have Nate Danielson. You're just adding to these depth players because you already have Raymond and everybody, and eventually, hopefully, they'll get another star. The Columbus Blue Jackets took Jackson Smith at 14. I'm going to go with a solid B minus because if Jackson Smith hits, obviously he's going to be one of the best players in this draft class, but that is a big if. And the Columbus Blue Jackets already have a ton of left shot offensive defensemen. Werenski, Provorov's probably not coming back, but then they have Denton Matejchuk. So now you have 3 on that left side. You have Severson and Fabro on the right. I don't know if it's good enough to make it up, but yeah. Our second Thunderbird went to the Vancouver Canucks. Braden Coots, one of my favorite prospects in terms of, like, you know, where I had him ranked compared to the consensus. He goes number 15. I really like this pick. I'm going to go with a solid B+. You know, it's not really an A because, like, he was projected around this A range and everything. But I really like what he brings to that Vancouver forward core. They obviously just got Evander Kane, but they have Pedersen, they have Hedel, Suter might not come back, Bluger might not come back. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of where Coots fits in, what his timeline is compared to the team. Are they rebuilding? Are they trading Quinn Hughes? But I really like the pick. I'm going to go B+. Then let's go for 2-1. The Islanders at 16 and 17. They picked Victor Eklund. For some reason, he's elite medium 78, which is crazy in this roster. But I'm going to go A+. Victor Eklund, I had him ranked as my 6th player on my big board. He goes at 16. That is an A++, best pick of the draft. It's not even close. And then obviously on the Barrie Colts, Kayshawn Atchison goes at number 17. I'm going to go B+. Again, a great pick by the New York Islanders. They are the big winners of this draft in terms of the first round. 3 pretty much A-level picks, you know. At number 18, the Calgary Flames took Cole Reshney. I think that's a great pick. He adds some big, much-needed skill to that team and much-needed creativity. I'm going to go with a solid B+. Can't really be like an A level, but that is one of the best fits in the draft. And then Justin Carbonneau goes number 19 to the St. Louis Blues. St. Louis already has so much depth, so much, you know, power forward, two-way forward, physical players. I think adding a guy with some potential top-end skill if he hits could be amazing for that team. They also have some great skaters already. I think that's a really good pick for how they play. I'm going to go with a B. He's not even created in this roster, but Peter Andranov is the 20th overall pick, and honestly, I'm going to give this one a solid, you know, B. Like, it's a little high. It is a very high pick, but a 942 in the MHL, you know, Michkov, Demidov, these guys had to play through the MHL, Kucherov, Malkin, right? And then Russia's obviously a goaltending wagon right now, and also having a 929 in the playoffs and measuring in at 6 foot, right? Or 6'1" or whatever he is. I think that's a good pick for Columbus, especially a team that needs goaltending this badly. At number 21, the Predators selected Cameron Reed. I'm going to go with the B again. Predators need defense. They don't really have... They have Tanner Mullendijk, but that's pretty much it. They have Yossi, right? They have Brady Shea. Another left shot, small defenseman is interesting. But I thought it was a really good pick. I'm going to go with a B. Cameron Reed, he could learn a lot from Roman Yossi. I think that's a great fit there to learn from for him. And then the Pittsburgh Penguins selected Bill Zanon here with this 22nd overall pick. I'm going to go with a solid C+, or B-. I had him around this range. I think that's a really good pick. I'm going to go B-. At 23, the Ottawa Senators selected Logan Hensler. I'm going to go with a solid B on this. That's a really good draft pick right there. Really good drafting by Ottawa, getting a right shot defenseman. They get Jordan Spence at the draft. They get Carter Yakimchuk in the last draft. Their defense is absolutely set. They have Matt Paulo now, who's a stud. Yeah, their defense is absolutely set. 24, Will Horcroft. He's not in the roster, so I'm going to go with a solid, C+, or like a solid C, just a guy you bet on, a big guy, right? And then same with Vladislav Nestrasil, these big guys. I'm going to go with B- though. I've seen that dude skate. He can fly out there. He's some high-end skill for a guy who's 6'6". Riker Lee, I'm going to go with a C-. I don't really know I don't know too much about him. At 27, the Capitals snapped up Lyndon Lakovich. That is an A. It's not an A+ because of the injury concerns at the draft and all that stuff. But, I mean, getting one of the, top 12 ranked, top 13 ranked players at 27 is great work by the Washington Capitals. Once again in the draft, they are doing such an amazing job building this team. The future is looking bright there in Washington. 28, my Winnipeg Jets selected Sasha Boumediene. I'm gonna give it a B. He looks very solid. He looks like a great skater. He could jump up in the play more, but I think he's going to develop great in our system, and hopefully he can be, our third left shot guy behind Morrissey and Sandberg. I think that would be perfect. And then Mason West got picked by Chicago. I'm going to go with a C+. If it hits, he could be one of the best picks in the draft. If it misses, you waste a first-round pick. Finish out the first round here at 30. The Sharks picked Joshua Ravensbergen. I'm going to go with the C. Didn't have the greatest stats. He's, I feel like, one of the more overrated prospects in my opinion, but if he hits, he could be a great goalie. But they already have Askarov. You can never have too many goalies though, because you never know if they're going to turn out. I'm going to go with a C or a C+. Next up, the LA Kings took Henry Brushkovich. I think that's how you say it. I could be wrong. I'm going to go with a B. I think that, he's one of the more underrated defensemen in the draft, playing on a stacked London team. End of the first round. This is great value for a guy whose brother is panning out amazingly, in the Calgary system. Speaking of Calgary, they took Cullen Potter, and I do want to say one thing about Calgary. Those picks, both those picks, I'm gonna give it a B plus. You take two skilled guys. You have a lot of depth here at center, but your skill is somewhat lacking. You take two skilled guys. If they work out, absolute steal. We're just gonna kind of recap every round. Milos Gastrin goes 33. That's an excellent pick by Washington. I'm gonna go with like a solid A minus. He could have been incredible. See, Wilmore went to Boston. I like that pick. Ivan Ryabkin to Carolina. Simon Hwang to San Jose. Both those picks are pretty good. Ryabkin, especially if he hits, would be insane. Blake Fiddler, I'm gonna give that an A pick to Seattle. That is incredible. Makes up for them missing out on Radim Murka. Nashville takes a Bankovic. That's pretty good. Or Ivan Kovic, whatever it is. They already have Saros, but they need to replace Askarov. That's pretty good. And then you have Malcolm Spence here with the New York Rangers. I'm going to go with another, solid A at 43. That's crazy value for a guy who I had like 19 or whatever it was. So shout out those picks. A couple of Winnipeg boys here who got drafted. But, I mean, come on, man. Shout out to everyone who got drafted this year. You guys are living out every young kid in Canada's dream. So shout out to you guys. But, I mean, some picks for myself to keep out. I can't find them, but Peyton Kettles is one. And then, obviously, Hayden Papanikis. I actually played against him when I was younger, I'm pretty sure. I'm sure it's the same guy, but like when I was like 7 or 8, I played against this guy. Now he's in the NHL. That's pretty cool. Drafted to Montreal. Owen Martin going to his hometown team. That's sick. But some actual good picks from the third round. Nothing, I can see other than Maxim Schaefer to Washington. Cam Schmidt to Dallas is pretty good. But Maxim Schaefer, I think that's a good pick. Fourth round here, just seeing if I can see some. Julius Sumpf, that's a good pick by Chicago. Shout out that's an A pick. Adam Banak to Minnesota, that is an A pick. I thought Adam Banak was going to be a top pick in this draft at the start of the year. How the mighty have fallen, man. I mean, this kid is nasty, bro. Watch his stats, bro. Watch his game. He is nasty. Is there anyone else? Alex Hwang, that's a good pick by Nashville. Lucas Beckman, shout out Ottawa. Bennett's the 6'8" goalie, right? That's pretty good if he hits. So shout out Toronto. I mean, taking a chance on a guy, right? Fifth round, is there anyone? I don't see anybody. Quinn Boschman, that's a pretty big steal right there in the fifth round. Shout out Pittsburgh. Is there anyone in the fifth round? No, I don't think so. Shout out Victor Kingzell to the Winnipeg Jets. I think that's a good pick. But here's Quinn Boschman, to get a guy who could be an NHLer in the fifth round. I mean, that's a pretty big steal in my opinion. Maybe just because I play NHL and I know who he is. But, that seems like a pretty big steal right there. Sixth round, I can't really see anybody. And then in the seventh round, is there anybody I can see? Aiden Park, that's a good pick by the Oilers. And I think that is it right there. Yeah, Philip Ekberg to Carolina, what a steal. But yeah, that'll do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this draft recap. This was the second last pick in the draft because he's small. NHL teams need to stop doing this because eventually the pure skill of the kids who are playing nowadays and the less physicality nature, is all going to catch up, and we are going to enter the skilled era of the NHL. So Philip Ekberg, A++ pick, the best pick in the draft. I'd say Philip Ekberg honestly could be the best value pick. Blake Fiddler could be a great pick, but I'm gonna go with Victor Eklund. I think that's the best value, or James Haggins, one of the two. But that's gonna do it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you in the next one.